What's up, people? How's it going? Welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. It's a pleasant Tuesday's night. I usually try to get my recording done by Monday, but this is the second time I'm trying to make this video because yesterday I did go through the motions again in trying to make this video, but I experimented a bit by placing the camera at a different angle to be more precise on the handlebar, and the outcome wasn't that great. I mean, the video wasn't that usable. I thought the field of view from the camera was not really that desirable, so because of that I had to scrap it. So lo and behold, here we are, the second attempt at making this video. I hope the camera angles and audio and everything is okay and the video will be usable. Having said that, it's a splendid evening, even though it's not the same climate that we experience usually at this time of the year. That looks nice, man. They lit it up and all. Looks good. So yeah, so some of you who've been following the videos that I've been putting out the last 3 weeks, the reoccurring theme in those was revisiting the topics from the past. But for today's video, I thought I'll take a small detour because of the nature of the topic itself. I hope many of you are aware about what transpired in the past week or so in the technology space, more particularly with the OpenAI drama. I mean, it's all cloak and dagger stuff, and many have gone on to comment that it's like a soap opera. I mean, the level of ups and downs, the kind of turns the events took, I don't think any script writer could have written it any better. So all in all, a lot of shocking events transpired, and somehow in 5 days or so it got resolved. I mean, only time will tell if whatever was the resolution is for the good or not. But yeah, some pretty crazy stuff transpired. So we'll just run through the timeline and just make a note of things that happened. I mean, the reasons for why they might have transpired probably will require a whole new video on its own. So if I get like 5 comments or so, I'll make a part 2. So let's just say this is the part 1 of the OpenAI saga, where we'll just make a note of things that have happened with respect to the timelines in which they transpired. So OpenAI happens to be a startup that was founded in 2015 by 3 guys, namely Samuel Altman, or otherwise known as Sam Altman, Greg Brockman, and Ilya Sutskever. I hope I didn't butcher his name. So these were the 3 guys who founded the company. So essentially it's a non-profit startup wherein they had altruistic goals in developing AI technologies for the betterment of mankind. And one of the products that's that's received wide recognition is ChatGPT. Currently it's ChatGPT 4, but for the general public at large, all of us get to use ChatGPT 3.5 for free. So that's the company that's behind it. So the CEO happens to be Sam Altman, who was fired on 17th of November, and that development was out of the blue. No one was expecting it, including the financiers who are supporting the company. Microsoft happens to be a big supporter of the company. I think they have 49% stake in the cap for-profit subsidiary of the company. I mean, even them, even those guys were blindsided with the development, So essentially the board of the company fired the CEO by saying that, he's not, consistently being candid in his communications. That probably goes on to, hint at, Sam not being completely transparent with his board of directors. I mean, there are reports about, him not getting along with one of the board of directors, etc. But probably, that's a video for another day, because I don't want this video to be too long and drawn out. I mean, I just want to, lay out the timeline. So on 17th of November, Sam was fired by his board, for him not being completely transparent. So that, essentially set alarm bells ringing. I mean, a lot of people, including some of the investors, were particularly worried, about this development. So in addition to letting go of Sam, the board also, demoted the other founder, namely Greg Brockman, and he didn't take it lightly. I mean, he probably was also shocked with the developments, and he immediately resigned, stating that, whatever transpired was not acceptable to him. And Greg was quite vocal. So, I mean, he came on X and, expressed his displeasure at the development, and, he made his, resignation quite public as well. So, those were also, and these were the red flags, which made probably the investors and, the public at large wary about, what was actually happening in the company. So as this was happening, the board, also named the CTO, Meera Murati, as the interim chairman of the company. And what she did, as soon as, she took charge, the first decision that she made was to, bring Sam Altman back. And, they had, a lot of back and forth. I think, Sam went back to OpenAI to negotiate and things like that, and that didn't work out. So because of that, Meera was let go, and they hired, one more CEO, ex-CEO of Twitch. All these, within a span of 4 days, which sent alarm bells ringing amongst the investors. Now one has to, also keep in mind about the unique structure of the board of OpenAI, because it's a non-profit company. The investors don't have a say, so investors don't, get a seat in the board. So those guys were, watching on the sidelines as the story, was unraveling. So in the midst of all this chaos, Microsoft chairman, Satya, he suddenly, came forward and publicly made an announcement that Microsoft is hiring Sam and Greg to run their, in-house AI program. There were like, a lot of chatter on that. I mean, the move that Satya Nadella made, there were like, several prominent people who were praising, the quick decision that he took, and, some were also, referring to him as, some were also, referring to him being gangster-esque in taking that quick decision. But yeah, I mean, it so happened that, in this chaos, Microsoft slipped in and, hired, or at least made a move to hire Sam Altman. And, this enraged the 700 and odd workforce of OpenAI. So they have probably somewhere around 770 employees, of which nearly 750, sent an open public letter to the board asking them to resign, or all 700 of them will follow Sam to Microsoft. So, I mean, if you look at it on one side, it was, an absolute coup by Microsoft. I mean, with zero investment, they were getting access to some of the, top talent in the AI space. And there were, lot of sections of media and, lot of armchair experts heralding this move as, being visionary, etc., etc. But, this was, the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, because the board then had to relent. I mean, what is an organization without its, talent? I mean, yes, they have a brilliant product, but if the people behind the product quit en masse and go and join a rival organization, so to speak, what are they to do? I mean, how are they going to answer to their investors? Because OpenAI is currently valued at $80 billion. That's a lot of money, man. And in the midst of this chaos, so essentially the board of directors for OpenAI consists of, 6 people. 3 of them happen to be the founders of the company, and 3 of them happen to be independent directors drawn from, various specializations. So when the decision to fire Sam Altman was taken, 4 of them were in concurrence. I'm not sure if Greg was part of the meeting in which that decision was taken, but essentially 4 of them, including one of the founders, Ilya, took the call to fire him. And as this was transpiring, where the workforce of the company gave an open letter demanding resignation of the board, Ilya, who happens to be the founder of the company, as I had mentioned before, came forward publicly and expressed his regret at taking the decision, that led to the ouster of Sam, and also, started harming the company and its valuation, etc., etc. So, as I said just a little while ago, all these were, straws that finally broke the camel's back, so to speak, and the board was forced to resign. And in the aftermath, Sam essentially came back. I mean, he came back as the chairman. Greg also came back, and the remaining 4. So out of the 4, only 1 survived the mass upheaval of the board, and 3 of them were let go, probably because of irreconcilable differences with Sam. What those differences were is something that probably one needs to know. It probably has a lot to do with the pace at which the technology was getting developed at the company, and there is also talk about this secretive or little known about technology called Q-Star. And from the chatter that one gets to hear, it is understood to be a revolutionary thing that will only accelerate development of AGI, or artificial general intelligence, which happens to be the sole objective of OpenAI. So there are several factors which precipitated what transpired, all in a manner of 5 days, in which $80 billion company, I mean a company which is valued at $80 billion went through 3 CEOs in a span of 5 days. I mean, that is just unheard of. The investors had no control. So I'm pretty sure Satya and his masterstroke had a big say on the outcome of the events. But still, I mean, for a company as big as what it is and the role it's going to play in the coming days, for things to happen the way they happen, it's just perplexing. I mean, we really don't know if that's the end of it, or there is more to come. But yeah, it's probably one of those things that one will never forget in the coming days. I mean, it's probably an epoch in terms of cloak and dagger stuff that happened in the technology space. I think the closest one that comes to this is probably the case in which Steve Jobs was ousted from his own company. So yeah, I mean, that's the closest thing that comes to it, and probably there might be some small similarities, but there is no reference, I mean, as far as what just transpired, and the reasons for which, I mean, as I just mentioned. Do let me know if you guys want to hear me talk about it. I mean, probably if there are 5 comments, I'll make a follow-up video, call this as part 1 and make a part 2 and see. So do let me know what your thoughts are on what just transpired. And on that note, I'll be winding today's video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace out.